All right. In Jeremiah, we're studying right now under the reign of the last king, which was Zedekiah. Last week we were talking about, what were we talking about? Last week we were talking about the prophecy of where Jeremiah again was reiterating the things that were going to happen to Jerusalem and everything. So, well, all of Jeremiah's prophecy is not setting well with the leadership of the city of Jerusalem at this point, under the reign of Zedekiah. Zedekiah is not the type of person, he sometimes seems in reading the account that he's just kind of wishy-washy. But there are princes that really don't like what Jeremiah is preaching. So that's what we're going to look at today. And we're in chapter 38. And here's what it reads. Then Shephatiah, the son of Mattan, and Gedaliah, the son of Pashur, and Jucal, the son of Shelemiah, and Pashur, the son of Malachi, heard the words that Jeremiah had spoken unto all of the people, saying, and here's what he's saying to them, this is what upsets them to no end. Thus saith the Lord, he that remaineth in the city shall die by the sword, by famine, and by the pestilence. But he that goeth forth to the Chaldeans shall live, for he shall have his life for a prey, and shall live. Thus saith the Lord, the city shall surely be given into the hand of the king of Babylon's army, which shall take it. First I want to kind of go back to one of our live share meetings. How many of you remember were here when I showed a video, about 40-minute video, of where the archaeologists had begun to uncover in southeast Jerusalem some things that were they had bought this property from an Arab, and they discovered some things, so they fenced it in and began to excavate, and they began to find some things. And they discovered after they dug down that there was part of the old city of David that they were looking at. And that they had often wondered why or what, because down in that area there was these mikvahs, or these ritual baths, and they kind of wondered how in the world that you would take a ritual bath for cleansing and make it all the way up to the temple without getting dirty or defiled again. So they felt like there had to be something there. Well, in their excavations, one of the things they found was they found a road, or a walkway, a road that went all the way up to the southwest corner of the Temple Mount, and there was a big stairway that went up into the temple area, so that anyone taking a mikvah or taking a ritual bath then could walk on this walkway or this highway going up and then go right into the temple area without getting defiled. That was one of the things they found in there. Also, one of the things they found in the excavations when they made it all the way up to the southwest corner of the temple, was they found a little veil that used to be on the hem of the high priest's garment. Found a little veil. How many of you remember that? Remember that? Okay. Remember the film? Okay. Do you remember them finding the seals in what evidently may have been the treasure or some room in the old city of David there, where they went and dug down? remember them finding the seals that belonged to 3 different guys? Remember that? Okay. These are the guys in the first chapter up here. These are the guys that they found the seals for. When they finally they found those, and then they took them and looked back into the ancient Hebrew, and they discovered that, and I don't remember exactly which, it was 3 out of the 4 up here that they found the seals. You know, where they used to seal documents, and evidently this room, they guessed, was probably a place where they kept documents and so forth and so on. And, you know, but they found the seals of these 3 guys right here in that room. Remember that? Everybody? I know probably some of you wasn't here, but it's really an interesting video showing them, you know, going up there. But anyway, these are the 3 guys. Well, actually 4 up here, and I don't know where it was Shephatiah, where it was Gedaliah, I think Pashur was one, though, one of the guys, if I remember correctly, that they found the seals. But these guys are princes in the kingdom. So they heard the words of Jeremiah that he had spoken, and Jeremiah is telling them, said, all right, if anybody stays in this city, they're going to die, either by the sword, by famine, or pestilence. Disease had broken out in the city. They had run out of bread. People were starving. It had reached a point now. They had been under siege now when the armies got there, it was 2 years before the city fell. But remember that the Babylonian army had to pull out and go meet the Egyptian army, and they were gone for 5 months. So they come before they got back. It was 5 months before they got back. They run the Egyptians back into Egypt, and then the Babylonian army come back. They surrounded the city again, and for 18 months now, they have blocked the city off from food, you know, and people already were having difficulty. Remember while that 5 months when the Babylonian army was gone, remember that was when Jeremiah wanted to go up to his Anathoth, his home city, and then he was accused of being a traitor and going over to the Babylonians. We studied that here a while back. Well, the thing is, he's telling them here, you know, if you stay in the city, you know, you're going to die. You stay in the city. Anybody in town is going to, you know what you tell them? You've got to get out of town. Go out to the Babylonians, put up your hands, give up. And he said, I'll give you, your life will be like a prey, or like a reward, or like a bounty of a victory. You know, somebody's taking something. So that's the scene that we get here. So these guys are hearing his words to all of the people. Let me say something else. At this point, now Jeremiah is in jail. He's in the court of one named Jonathan, but it's a real jail. It's really a place that's designed to house people or to keep people that are under arrest. It's a jail. So he's been confined, but yet it's not like you know, he can kind of move around in this area. So he's able to talk to the soldiers that are watching it. He's able to talk to anybody that comes in. He's able to give the word. So that's what he's doing here. He's telling anybody that comes, he's telling the soldiers, you need to get out of town. You know, he's telling anybody that comes visit, you need to get out of the city. So that's what's happening here. And these princes, they get word of it. It says in verse 4, therefore the princes said unto the king, we beseech thee. So they go to the king because they're upset with Jeremiah's word. And they go to the king and say, let this man be put to death. Pashur, that we read about in the first verse of the other screen, For sure, at one time was one that come to Jeremiah and wanted to know, is there any word from the Lord? But now he's upset because of Jeremiah's word. He's ready to put him to death, along with the other three. So let this man be put to death, for thus he weakeneth the hands of the men of war that remain in the city. Notice that term, because those that remain in the city, they had already had some people, even some of the princes had abandoned the city, and some of the soldiers had already left. In fact, the matter is, we'll find out later in the study of Jeremiah that when Gedaliah was assassinated, that was one of the princes that had escaped, that had left the city prior to all of these events here, prior to the city being taken. But it said, in the hands of the men of war, he weakened the hands of the men of war that remain in the city, and the hands of all the people, in speaking such words unto them, for this man seeketh not the welfare of the people, but he's seeking to hurt. We say their accusation is that he's not trying to help us. He's trying to hurt us. I think a lot of times, a lot of people look at what we're preaching today. We're preaching Jesus, and then a lot of people saying, "Well, you're being divisive. You're being, what's the word? I can't. The word escaped me, but you're not really incorporating everybody into the whole scheme of things.
Politically correct. Or intolerant.
Intolerant, yeah. Intolerant. You're being intolerant. That's the accusation today, that we're bigots. Because we say Jesus is the only way. We're excluding other means of what people say there ought to be another way. Like Oprah says, there's got to be other ways to get to heaven. I don't know where the logic comes from, but there's not other ways to get to heaven. But see, the message is, you have the same attitude. People say, you're not really out trying to help us. You're out to hurt us. You're out to do harm. And that's the accusation. He's trying to tell them what God said. He said, if you guys stay in this city, you're going to die either by the sword, by famine, or disease. You're going to die in the city. Go outside the city, give yourself up, because God has already said that you're going into captivity for 70 years. That's what he said. So they go to the king, go to Zedekiah, and here's this weak-kneed king, Zedekiah. Then Zedekiah, the king, said, behold, he's in your hand, for the king is not he that can do anything against you, He's saying, I can't do anything about it, so I'm just going to leave it up to you guys. He's king, I'm just going to leave it up to you. And so they took Jeremiah and cast him now they take him out of the court of Jonathan, where he'd already been confined because of his preaching. They're trying to kill him. They're not trying to put him out of the way in a jail. They're trying to kill him. And look what they do in order to do that. Then they took Jeremiah and cast him into a dungeon of Micaiah, the son of Himelech, that was in the court of the prison. See, you got the prison, then you got a part of the area that belongs to this guy here, and that word dungeon, that is a cistern. It's a place that was normally a place where it captured water. you know. And held water for the use of the court. That's it. But notice they said, and they took him, cast him into the cistern of Micaiah, the son of Hamelech, which is in the court of the prison, and they let him down with cords. Now this is not a shallow thing. This is a very deep cistern. If you remember that film I was talking about earlier, in their excavations, they come to an area where there was a huge cistern that held water for the use of the city back in that day. A huge cistern. They had to use ropes or cords to let Jeremiah down into the cistern, and in the dungeon there was no water. It was no water. It hadn't to have any water, but there was mire or muck. And they let Jeremiah down into that, and he sinks into the muck that's in the cistern. Let me think for a minute. I'm trying to remember Jeremiah's passage on. I mean, not Jeremiah's passage, but in the antiquities of the Jews, Josephus says that when they let him down into the pit, the mire come up to here. So he's standing in this mire, in this muck, in this pit. How did they anticipate that they're going to kill Jeremiah? Eventually he won't be able to stand up. Eventually his legs will give way. Eventually, without any food, he'll become so weak that he'll sink into the mire. And that was their intent. That was the way they were getting rid of Jeremiah. Yeah. So they cast him into the cistern, and they, things looked bad for Jeremiah. If you read the Bible, you'll find out that time and time again, when things look really, really bad in the life of somebody that's serving God, that's when God shows up. When it looks like the end of the line, the last knot in the rope, that's when God shows up. And I guess that we could say that's what happens here. He gets help, and he gets help from the most unlikely of persons. It's found in verses 7 to 13. Says, now when Ebed-melech, who was an Ethiopian, one of the eunuchs, which was in the king's house, heard that they had put Jeremiah in the cistern or the dungeon, the king then was sitting in the gate of Benjamin. Now, let me just the gate of Benjamin, let me just talk about that for a minute. Most of your Bibles will have a map in it, and it will show the way that the 12 tribes divided up the land under Joshua when they come in to the land. But nobody knows exactly where the gate of Benjamin is, but because of the name, we know that it was on the north side of the city. The reason being is because you had the land that was allocated to Benjamin was on the north side of the city. Sometimes this gate is referred to as the gate of Ephraim, reason being because you went out that gate to go to Ephraim also. Ephraim was on there was the northern tribe above Benjamin there. And so that's so the king's sitting down there. We don't know why, but he's sitting down there. City surrounded. The Babylonians have got everything locked up. but he said the king is sitting in the gate of Benjamin. So Abimelech, he goes to the king, goes forth out of the king's house, and he speaks to the king, saying, my lord the king, these men have done evil in all that they have done to Jeremiah the prophet, whom they have cast into the cistern or the dungeon, and he is like to die there for hunger in the place where he is, where there is no more bread in the city. He only covers one topic, you know. He doesn't say that, hey, he could suffocate because at some time his legs are going to give way. And he's going to seek into that and suffocate. You know, he doesn't mention that. Just mentions that there's no bread. And if we don't get him out of there, he's going to die. Well, that was the intent of those 4 princes, was we need to kill Jeremiah. So that was the intent. Then the king commanded Abimelech, the Ethiopian, saying, take from hence 30 men with thee, and take up Jeremiah the prophet out of the dungeon before he died. Problem. Jeremiah is sunk down into this mire up to his neck. How you going to get him out? I mean, first of all, it's deep, but 30 men. You got to have. He realizes that to pull him up out of there, you're going to have a number of people because of the problem of pulling him up out of the mire. Plus, the thing is very deep. So he said, go get 30 men. And so that's what's happening. Then verse 11 says, Abimelech took the men with him and went into the house of the king under the treasure. So he goes back to the palace, and he goes down into the room where they've got the scrap material. And he took thence old cast cloths and old rotten rags, and let them down by cords into the cistern or the dungeon for Jeremiah. Now they had the ropes to pull him up, but they're going to put a lot of pressure on him. So they told him we need to wrap this up under your armpits, up under the ropes, because when we start pulling, we got to pull. You know, that's what's happening here. And Abimelech the Ethiopian said unto Jeremiah, put now these old cast cloths and rotten rags under thine armholes, under the cords. And Jeremiah did so. So they drew up Jeremiah with cords and took him up out of the dungeon. And Jeremiah remained in the court of the prison. He's still not free, but he's out of the hole. Yeah. He's out of that place there. Yeah. What gets me about the life and ministry of Jeremiah is that old boy went through a lot of stuff. I mean, he went through a lot of stuff. Remember, they beat him up one time in the temple area. I mean, just beat him up and put him in stocks. So he was walking around, he was in stocks. And then, I mean, he just suffered all kinds of stuff. At points, he got really discouraged. Who wouldn't be? I'd have been crying like a baby, because of the way things were going on in his life. Now he's pulled up out of the pit, What he looked like is anybody's guess, because of all the muck and stuff that he'd been in. But he's at least out of the pit, but he's still in prison. I'm sure that Zedekiah first, before Zedekiah called him, I'm sure he had him cleaned up. You don't go into the king's presence, right out of a cistern with muck and mire all over you. But here's the strange thing here. Zedekiah give his consent to these 4 princes to go ahead and throw him put him in the pit. And after he's pulled out and still in prison, still in the court of the prison, then Zedekiah sends for him. Notice what the scripture said. Then Zedekiah the king sent and took Jeremiah the prophet unto him into the third entry. This is in the house of the Lord. Now nobody knows what third entry means. References to the house of the Lord, so we know it's talking about the temple proper. It's talking about the area. There were, that we know of, there were two entrances on the south side. There was an entrance on the southwest corner. There was an entrance to the Temple Mount that was on the north side, and there was an entrance that was to the court of the Gentiles on the north side, and there was the eastern gate, and then we know that there was several different entries, but evidently this is talking about a one that goes right into the temple itself, to the courts of the temple. But we don't know exactly what it is. But evidently, the reference is just saying, the third way that you could get in. But anyway, that's what the king, he calls him and takes him out of the court and brings him to the temple area and wants to have a conversation. And he asks that's the entry to the house of the Lord. The king said unto Jeremiah, I will ask thee a thing, and hide nothing from. I want the whole truth, nothing but the truth. That's what you think. Zedekiah's had a change of heart. He's had a whole turnaround. He's got saved. You think he wants to know what the Lord has to say about it. He wants the whole truth, nothing but the truth. Then Jeremiah said unto the Lord, if I declare it unto thee, wilt thou not surely put me? If I tell you the truth, are you going to kill me? It's one thing to say I want the truth and nothing but the truth. But Jeremiah is saying, if I tell you the truth, you're going to be upset. Are you going to kill me? And then, and if I give thee counsel, will thou not hearken unto me? Are you going to listen to me? So Zedekiah the king sware secretly unto Jeremiah, saying, as the Lord liveth, and made us this soul, I will not put thee to death, neither will I give thee into the hand of these men that seek thy life. Okay, Jeremiah, give me the truth, and I'll make good grief. I will not. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm not going to even I'm going to turn you back over to these four. And I got to quit. This is where I quit. I don't know how to graciously quit anything or graciously start anything. I just come to the point where I quit. Okay. God bless you this morning.